Hello, welcome, friends. I'm so happy to learn that so many teachers and parents are now getting more and more interested in understanding what exactly is the secret behind the Montessori, the effectiveness of the Montessori method. It's been going on for more than 100 years now, 115 to be precise. I thank you all for taking time off and joining me in this journey through my experience in the field of Montessori. I assure you that you will certainly gain some insights and certainly have a good enough idea of what exactly goes on in a Montessori classroom. Some things that you will be able to immediately implement in your schools and at home with your own children. But before we begin, let us see who this talk is going to benefit the most. So, if you're already a head of a preschool or a principal or an administrator in a kindergarten or a nursery, and you're looking for a more meaningful syllabus and method of working that you would like to implement in your school, then this talk is for you. Or if you're a teacher in a preschool or a kindergarten or a nursery, or you're even a fresh graduate looking for a meaningful career, an exciting career option. No, you don't really have to love children and don't let that scare you. That love and respect will happen when you start working with the children. This session is also for you if you are an entrepreneur. You're looking for a profitable and fulfilling business opportunity, then this talk is for you. Or perhaps you're already working in a 9 to 5 job and are fed up of the office politics and would like to start a career by setting up a small school of your own, then this talk is for you. Or you're a parent, you see, you have a little child of say 2 years plus, and you're wondering, you're in the process of selecting what syllabus is good for your child. Or you are a well wisher of a child, say you're a grandparent or an uncle or an aunt, then you're in the right place. This talk is for you. Now, you see, during the pandemic, you will have noticed since the classes were going on online, you had the opportunity to observe the online classes. You have noticed the quality of education, the content of the lessons, what exactly our children are learning in school. You really need to ask yourself, is this what they really need to learn? You see, I had a mother from South Africa. She commented on one of my Facebook posts saying how pained she was to see her seventh grade child, being taught parts of a tree. She saw this happening on the online classes, and that's when she realized what's exactly going on in the schools. And besides the content of the syllabus, what did you notice about the teachers? We are not talking about the teachers' knowledge of the subject. We're talking about their mental health, their own self-esteem, the way they treat the children, how much do they respect the children, and what kind of discipline the children themselves exhibit. Are the children's interests and their choices of what they really would like to learn is looked into? Do the children exhibit a level of self discipline, or is the discipline imposed upon them by the teachers? So, you may have got to see all of this during the pandemic, right? Another very important aspect about today's learning process in general is the influence of the social media. You see, teachers and parents get bombarded by so much content these days. Anybody and everybody wants to have a say, even if they know a little bit about something, people feel obliged to share and comment. The problem that we face is, what do you decide to choose? Whom do you believe? How much do you believe? What do you believe? Of course, you might have the same question about me, right? So, in a while, I will introduce myself and my work and my experience in the field of education in general and Montessori in particular. So, what is it you will discover at the end of this session? You'll be able to have a peek into the distinct qualities of the Montessori method is and why it is so different from other conventional methods. It will also help you decide whether why you would choose to take up Montessori as a profession. You see, Montessori trained teachers can easily fit into any curriculum. Whereas if you have taken up some other nursery teachers training, you will, definitely not be able to fit into a Montessori environment without authentic Montessori training. You would just be lost if you do not understand how to use the Montessori material. You see, the material is not for teachers to demonstrate lessons or to use it as teaching aids in a classroom. It is for the children to actually work with them. These are self-correcting, self-learning material that are scientifically designed by they were created by Dr. Montessori herself. And they are still used as they were previously designed. They're still using the same thing as she has put up, yes. And if you're a mother, it will help you to decide whether and why you want your child to attend a Montessori school. You will be able to understand the child better, what are his needs, how a child learns. After all, there is no child in the world who does not want to learn. You see, you will not be able to, you will now, after listening to this talk, you will be able to stand up for children's rights. You will be more confident after understanding that it was not your fault. You see, if you do not understand mathematics, you have a phobia for math, or you really are not able to, you did badly in your spelling tests in school. So it was not really your fault. It was how you were taught in those days, and you would really think, why was I not taught the Montessori way? Life would have been so different, right? These are the realizations you will have at the end of the session. The brilliant phonetic method that is now prevalent and is being used by many conventional schools was first started by Dr. Montessori. The writing process in a Montessori school is beautifully planned, starting with activities that first strengthen the writing fingers, and at the same time, the child's vocabulary is built orally. You see, vocabulary building is so important, and then you will have the pleasant shocking revelation of how simple, beautiful, and easy mathematics is. Yes. And other things that a child will learn is botany, zoology, geography. So many more things keep going on in a Montessori classroom for a child aged 3 to 6. If you decide to be a Montessori teacher, you will touch the lives of hundreds of children. You will be a contributing factor in helping me to achieve my dream of spreading the Montessori method, because I firmly believe that all children of the world deserve to be educated following the Montessori method. I have been around, I have visited many countries, I have seen all kinds of methods, but nothing has impressed me as Montessori has. I have experienced firsthand in my own schools, both in India and abroad, and how this method can transform a child's life. So it is time I share a little bit about myself. You see, I started my career as a high school teacher. I then, when I went abroad, I started working in corporate jobs, and at the same time, I continued, tutoring high school students. When I returned to India, when my children were ready to go to college, I had to return to India, and I decided to start up a small little play school of my own, a preschool of my own. That is when I stumbled upon Montessori. At that time, that's nearly 25 years ago, there were hardly like five Montessori schools in Bangalore, and I visited all of them, and I spoke to the teacher, to the administrators who were running those schools. Now we have like maybe 5,000, I think, in Bangalore. So those five ladies, you see, I am so obliged to them, to all of them, because they told me that no, you cannot just run the school. You will need to take up the course yourself. So they advised me to take the course myself. After all, if you start a business, you should have a good understanding of your product, right? So then I decided to take up the Montessori course myself, but simultaneously I started running the school also. It was a lot of hard work, but you see, in those days we didn't have this photocopying, and we were expected to write all our files by hand. Of course, nowadays I provide a lot of PDF files to my students, but in those days we did not have that facility, right? So it was a lot of hard work. But then, very soon, while going through the course, I understood that it would not have worked if I had just looked after the administration and let the teachers run my school. I would never have understood the intricacies and the beauty of the Montessori method. My school picked up, and I could very soon, even before my course was completed, see that the method really and truly worked. My children were happy, confident. There was no pressure on them to write or read, to remember facts, and yet they did all of that. All of it was there, very much so, and they did it with so much love and enthusiasm, way beyond my expectation. My school really picked up, very, very well. Like, my children were happy, confident. There was no pressure on them at all. The physically weak children, they started putting on weight, and they became much more healthy. So there were so many things that I saw happening in my school. And you see, because In a Montessori classroom, we have this one on one interaction with the children. So we could easily detect if a child had some visual or hearing or other physical or emotional challenges, you see. This becomes possible to really understand each child, their strengths, their weaknesses. Based on that, each child is catered to. Children all became very kind, considerate, and learned to share and respect each other's rights. There was so much more going on in my little school, at that time. Each day brought a new understanding and proof of all that I was learning in theory in my course, unfolding in front of my eyes. It was actually happening. The children in my school had a sparkle in their eyes each time they entered the classroom. It was a beautiful experience at that time. I strictly stuck to the Montessori method, you see, without divulging and getting distracted by the other curriculum that was going on around in the neighboring schools. Some parents would expect that I start teaching their children their ABCs and 1, 2, 3s immediately. I don't blame them, of course, because that is all that they knew, right? Some parents were, on the other hand, extremely cooperative. I told them, wait, wait, when the time is right, things will begin to happen. Some even pulled out their children, with pressure from probably grandparents and neighbors. But those who stuck around, they very soon started seeing the results. Unlike most other children that need to be dragged to school crying, our children had to be dragged out of the school by parents waiting to take their children home. And the child would still say, wait, wait, let me finish this one more activity. So it was so beautiful at the time. Parents were extremely happy. You see, we used to have these joint meetings, and parents got to talk to each other and share their experiences. I remember a father saying, if I had the confidence and the understanding of my own self worth as my 4-year-old daughter does, I wonder where I would have reached in life. The fruits of the hard work, the unwavering belief in the method, they really started bearing fruit for me. You see, I have run my schools in Bangalore and Sharjah and helped other aspiring Montessorians to set up their own schools. And I have trained like hundreds of teachers. And I have seen and experienced firsthand the success stories of all children attending Montessori schools. There are absolutely no failures. Children take their own time. You see, some are fast, some are slow, some are good at picking up concepts in math, some in language and writing. But eventually, they all learn. And what was most important was all of them grew to be kind, considerate, learn to share, learn to respect each other's rights. The list is endless. Everything that you would aspire your child to be a good human being, was all happening in this little school of mine. You see, if you think that being competitive and selfish and trying to get better grades than others, coming first in class, and is going to take your children forward and make them successful in life, you're very sadly mistaken. You see, very soon people around get to know of the tricks you are up to, and that can be the end of your career. Whereas if you build the qualities of a good human being, as are inculcated so unknowingly and naturally in a Montessori classroom, then you will have a happy, calm, physically and mentally happy child. As adults, these children will grow up to be healthy individuals, both in their personal lives, with their relationships with their partners, with other family members, and on the professional level, at their workplace, with their relationships with their colleagues. They will grow up to be healthy individuals. So then let's come to what is Montessori, what goes on in the Montessori classroom. Okay, so there are five main areas that are addressed in a Montessori school for children aged 2.5 to 6. We have exercise of practical life, sensorial activities, language activities, arithmetic activities, and cultural activities. Plus, we also learn about the Montessori psychology, and that's not like child psychology. This is what we call Montessori psychology. These are the observations that Dr. Montessori derived by mostly actually watching children working with the amazing material that she had created to help their understanding of the various concepts, understanding what a healthy and a happy child actually is. So that is what is included in Montessori theory. Let us look at what we call EPL, that is exercise of practical life. These are the activities that are first introduced when the child enters the Montessori house of children. Now, let us understand why these activities are important. You see, you will have noticed, you have a child who's sitting with a load of toys around him and he's playing, and you call out to him, you're at home and you call out to him and say, Danny, can you help me shell these peas, or can you help me water the plants or lay the table? And you can bet he will dump all his toys and come running to help you, right? You see, a child always wishes, he desires to be a contributing part of society. He wants to learn to be independent, to be able to do things by himself. And that is exactly what we show the child to do with exercise of practical life activities. Most times we think of a child as a responsibility, whom we have to serve and look after all the time, bathe him, clothe him, feed him. Whereas the child yearns to do things by himself. That is exactly what we help him to do in a Montessori classroom. And with the exercise of practical life activities, the child also very soon understands the culture of the classroom, the rights, the responsibilities that he has, and how he should exactly conduct himself in the classroom. And this will also help him later on when he goes to more complicated activities with sensorial and arithmetic and language and things like that. Yes. Oh, this is your sensorial area. You can see all the material in all the areas. They're all laid out like this so that they are in easy reach of the child. And the child himself helps himself to whatever he wants to work with, whatever he has already been shown by the teacher. And he takes it to his mat and he works and then he puts it back. So that's how it works. Everything is within the child's range of reach. So let's look at the sensorial material. The sensorial material, as the name suggests, is to define and categorize all the sensorial impressions that the child has been already acquiring unintentionally through his senses all these years. All these 3 years, first 3 years of his life, they are all the senses that he has accumulated. They are all now categorized and given names. He now develops a deeper, a more organized way of relating to them. And besides the five senses that we know of, Dr. Montessori again, broke them up and classified into 9 senses in all. So these material are very carefully designed. I would strongly advise you, if you're, thinking of starting up your own Montessori school, I would strongly advise that, okay, the other material like exercise of practical life and stuff you can pick up locally, but the sensorial materials have to be picked up from an authorized Montessori material dealer. These are very specific Montessori material. These early activities create a strong foundation for understanding the mathematical concepts also. You see, math is not just about one, two, threes and addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. The child also learns to see differences in the objects, in the forms, in the sizes. He does pairing and grading and sorting. You see different concepts in colors, in shapes and sizes, in weights, even intensity of sound. So all this is catered to in the sensorial activities. And besides, most of these material are in tens. You see the pink tower, the brown stairs, the long stairs that you see. All of that are in tens. So that forms the basis of the decimal system. So that's a preparation for arithmetic. And with the help of the sensorial material, the child develops this four-stage thinking sequence of observation, comparison, coming to tentative conclusions, and verification. Let us understand that you see that this child in the picture who is working with what we call cylinder blocks. So he looks at he holds that, you can see he's holding it with his three writing fingers, and he compares it with the sockets in front of him. Then in his mind, he comes to a tentative conclusion. Yes, that this cylinder will fit in this socket. And then he finally places the cylinder in the socket, verifying his thought process. So this four-stage process goes on for most activities in the Montessori prepared environment. Now let's come to the language activities. Let us see how we teach our ABCs in a Montessori school. We start with the cursive small letters. Obviously, we have lots of reasons why we do that. You see, when you offer a writing instrument to a little child, you will never see him making straight lines, like this, or vertical or horizontal. He will never make straight lines. Straight lines are very difficult to make. But if you give a child a writing instrument, he will doodle, he will make these little circles, these little curved figures. So you see, the child is at a stage where writing in cursive happens without much effort. Were we to offer it later, When the sensitive period has elapsed, then the child will find it comparatively difficult to write in cursive later on. Why don't we start with capital letters, like most conventional schools start with capital letters? So capital letters are not as much used as small letters. You look at this sentence in front of you, you will find more small letters than capital letters, right? So once a child starts forming phrases and sentences, then we introduce the child to the capital letters and where and how they need to be used, you see. So it was Dr. Montessori who first introduced the phonetic method more than 100 years ago. She was an Italian, and Italian language is very phonetic, very much like the Indian languages. Like you write exactly as you speak. Yeah, the sound of the letters is the same as the letters that you write. You know, so it's called phonetic. Yeah? So we learn to pronounce words. If you learn to pronounce the words correctly, you'll be able to write correctly. It's extremely straightforward. But spelling out, a word like hippopotamus. Yeah, it's such a long word. You would think, oh, how does the child remember? No, he doesn't remember the spelling. He listens to the sound and he creates this word. Okay, so for a three and a half year old child in a Montessori classroom, it's a piece of cake. Yeah, for him, it's no big issue for him. But then with the English language, it's not just the phonetic. It's not just the phonetics that work. There are a lot of other exceptions to the rules, and what we call orthographic complications. So we take them through a lot of these orthographic complications as he progresses. Then we also have the vocabulary building. Vocabulary building is extremely important at this stage. He's in a sensitive period where he wants to learn names. And his question all the time, you will have seen a little child, he's always asking, what is this? What is this? He wants to learn a lot of names. So we give a lot of vocabulary. A lot of vocabulary building happens at this stage. This language development continues with selected stories and rhymes that are appropriate for his age children. It's important. I have done another video on selecting the stories and rhymes for your children, what are appropriate for his age. They learn to listen to the sounds in a sequence and then learn to make words using the movable alphabet. Simultaneously, there are deliberately planned activities in exercise of practical life and sensorial. You have seen how the child was holding with his writing fingers. As soon as his writing fingers are strong enough to hold the writing instrument, we start off with the writing activities, not before that. You say it's no point trying to teach. Suppose you have a 2-month-old child and you try to teach him to walk. You say, no, he's not going to learn to walk faster because you started very early. He will walk only when he's able to carry his weight, right? When he's able to stand up on his own and his legs are strong to bear his weight. All you can do is offer support. So that is what we do with our writing activities also. We help the child to strengthen his writing fingers. The language program is very, very extensive and it's very beautiful. Our challenge is, when a child comes into our school at 2.5, we tell the parent, if you keep the child with us till he's 5.5, 6 and ready to go to the first standard, he will be able to read the newspaper. That is the kind of challenge we take on, you see, as far as language is concerned. Now let us come to arithmetic activities. This is my favorite, and it was also a favorite with Dr. Montessori. Actually, before she got into this, she wanted to be an engineer, and she was very fascinated with arithmetic. So arithmetic activities are extremely beautiful when it comes to Montessori. The algebra and geometry is mainly included in the sensorial activities, where we talk about the forms and the shapes. When I complete my arithmetic program with my teacher students, they say, ma'am, you helped us fall in love with arithmetic. Why were we not taught arithmetic like this, you see? And a lot of conventional schools also, even if they don't completely adopt the Montessori method, they do pick up a lot of arithmetic Montessori material to use in their classrooms. We start arithmetic at about 3.5 years. That is uh, when we say that his mathematical mind is awakened. For 6 months, the child is only learning numbers 1 to 10 and forming and strengthening the basis of the decimal system. After the 1 to 10 is done, it goes on for 6 months. Okay, from say 3.5 to 4 years. Then we take him on to numbers directly to 9,999. After all, it's just these numbers of 1 to 9 and 0, right? And these are, and the rest of it is all about place values. So we have this amazing activities that children do with the absolutely brilliant Montessori material, after which the children learn about the four arithmetic operations, say the addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, all with material. They develop working with the material. They develop a very very strong foundation and a deep understanding of numbers. Our challenge is that no child who has learned math the Montessori way will ever develop a phobia toward math. They just love the math activities. Let us come to the next topic. That's the cultural activities. This will include, botany, zoology, science experiments, music, art, craft. This so much that goes on in a Montessori classroom. In a Montessori classroom, there is no maximum. You see, there is a minimum. Yes, we try to, make sure that okay, that this particular age the child has completed so much, but there is no maximum. We just keep offering to the children based on the child's capacity to observe. We keep offering a lot more. We have found the children's hunger for knowledge absolutely unsatiable. If you ask me, I have traveled the world. I have traveled to many countries. I have seen all kinds of methods, some very good, some not so good, but to me nothing has impressed me more than the Montessori method. The amazing transformations I have seen in children, at least more than 20 nationalities of various social strata with different learning capacities, has really converted me for life into thoroughly believing in this method. I know it works. I have seen it work, and I would love to take this method to all the children of the world. Each and every child deserves to be happy, to learn happily, to reach his maximum capacity, and be a confident and contributing member of society, right? And above all, he must be kind, compassionate, a good human being, all of which he achieves in a Montessori method school. The mistake we are making is, learning can be a pleasure. It does not have to be a pain. When such a pain-free method is available, we as parents and teachers are making the mistake of taking our children to the same pain that we went through, right? What are the mindsets that are limiting us? You see, it is extremely convenient to continue doing what is considered as normal, what everybody else is doing. You may think, well, I follow the conventional method and I think I'm doing fine, so why try out something different for my child? Or why take on a different method when nursery training is fine and it is getting me a job? Well, as far as the job is concerned, if you have undergone an authentic Montessori training, you will have better chances of landing up a job in any part of the world, in any syllabus of the world. Montessori is an international method, and you will find Montessori schools all over the world. If you think you can continue doing what you are doing and expect different results, it is not going to happen. Only if you step out, learn to think out of the box, like the famous Montessorians of our times did, like the Google boys and Jeff Bezos of Amazon. They are all Montessori trained when they were little. Only then you can achieve something extraordinary as they did. So let us get off the mindset of continuing to do what everybody else does. Step into the world of Montessori and let us make education a happy experience for all our children. Come join the family, Montessori family. Let us unitedly reach the Montessori method to all children of the world. Thank you so much.